Listen, I have to tell you, Mrs. Williams, that you've got some beautiful place here.
You just make yourself at home.
Say, you know the soap you have in the bathroom? The one shaped like little lemons?
Yes.
Well, I was almost afraid to use them.
But that's what they're there for, Lieutenant, to be used.
Well, if you don't mind my asking, when you use one and you put it back in the plate, how do you keep it from sticking to the others?
It's a problem.
That's what I figured.
Good evening, everybody, Columbo fans. Welcome to the next episode of the Columbo Confan Podcast. This is Sean.
And Steve.
Hello, Steve. How are you this evening?
I'm great. I'm going to get a drink here.
Okay. All right. I thought we weren't going to be the Columbo Tavern or whatever. I guess it's
no, it's just water. What made you think
okay.
So
Yes,
if you hear
the jingle of ice cubes, it's
Right.
Coca-Cola, right? Yeah. I'm having seltzer water myself.
Yes, but the flavor of my seltzer water is sprinkled with a little vodka, so it's maybe not as innocent as I made it sound.
Indeed. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about Ransom for a Dead Man. But first,
Yes. Oh,
we each have an announcement.
we do.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, Steve. I know I told you before, but there was a landmark this week, or technically last week as we record this.
Yeah.
We're recording this in late February. A few days ago, February 20th, was the 50th anniversary of Columbo.
Oh. Yay.
So,
What are we going to do? What are we going to do for special? How are we going to bring in this special occasion?
The Swing and Wheel of the 70s decided that we were just going to record a podcast about the second episode of Columbo instead of the first. So, yeah. Anyway, so, what was it you were going to tell us, Steve?
Okay, so before we were recording, I was just kind of sitting around in the living room, and I was watching some YouTube channels. I'm really much older than I'm probably letting off, but so there's a new YouTube channel that I noticed that popped up around, I guess, end of last year, December, maybe November last year. And the name of the YouTube channel is called Columbo. And this guy he goes through every single episode. He pieces together like the top 10 funny moments or the top dog moments in Columbo or the top 10 famous celebrity murderers in Columbo. And he just puts all these scenes together. And there's no narration or anything like that. He's just pieces of them all together. And I just finished the top Robert Culp scenes in Columbo. It was good. It was really interesting. Fun stuff.
Really? Interesting. Huh. It's just called, the channel is just Columbo?
Columbo, yeah.
Huh. So how do you know it's a guy? I'm sorry,
That's
that was
a very
loaded
good
question.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. Could be a dog.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Ransom for a Dead Man. And I notice a pattern in what the Wig and Wheel and the Swing and Wheel of the 70s are picking. Did you know that this is the fourth episode in a row we've covered in which there is a female murderer?
No, I had not noticed that.
It's all in the game. Dagger of the Mind, A Bird in the Hand, and then Ransom for a Dead Man all have female murderers. Two of them do have male murderers as well, but it's interesting because there are not a lot of female murderers in Columbo. And it's not struck down the middle 50-50. So, anyway, Ransom for a Dead Man.
Well, hey, and I'm just going to also bring up, so that channel I just talked about, that's another thing, the top female murderers in Columbo.
I think I've seen that video.
Oh, have you? Okay. Well, I just also want to point out, before we move on to the actual review, so there was a scene where the top funniest moments or something like that, and I caught Columbo saying something, two scenes from two different episodes, side by side, that prove my theory, which, you know,
Here we go again.
My favorite theory of Columbo is true. So I'm just gonna say, watch it, enjoy, and you can thank me later.
You know, all three people that listen to this are just rolling their eyes right now. Like, here we go again. Steve pushing his anti-Mrs. Columbo agenda. Okay. So, this is a very special episode of Columbo. So, the first episode, it wasn't an episode. It was a pilot, a TV pilot that premiered in 1968. Prescription Murder.
Yes,
I believe you've seen it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, 3 years later, I don't know what was happening in those 3 years.
Oh wow, that big of a difference.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They asked them to write a new one, another pilot, which was Ransom for a Dead Man, this one. And then literally within a month, they asked them if they could do the first season of, the official first series. Oh. And what was really cool about this particular episode was that it was one of the last classic Columbos that I saw because it wasn't syndicated with all the other Columbos. So they aired it like... when I was able to see it, I wasn't alive when it was first aired, but when they would run the 90s episodes on ABC at, like on Sunday night, I can't remember what it was. Once in a while, one week they showed this, and I got to see it for the first time. And they did the same thing with Prescription Murder. And that was the very first time that Columbo fans were able to see these, because they weren't in syndication like the other 40-something episodes. Those would always be rerunning on different channels. So this was kind of special. It wasn't the last Columbo I ever saw. That would have been the Bye Bye Sky High IQ murder case. But this is kind of sort of special. And I think I don't want to compare it too much to Prescription Murder, but it's really fun to compare the two of them because they're both the two pilots. But even though Prescription Murder starts gives us the idea of an inverted mystery, I really do think that this probably captures the spirit of Columbo, classic Columbo, more than Prescription Murder. And Prescription Murder we can save for another time. Obviously, we have yet to talk about that. But so shall we talk about this thing?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I actually did not know about it was kind of a second reboot to the pilot. But Prescription for Murder, I do like that one, but it's not very Columbo-ish. Like,
no, it's not.
Obviously, they're Peter Falk, I think, is kind of finding the part. So in a way, it's not very Columbo-ish. You compare that to the later stuff. It was made in the 90s. It's weird because I want to compare also tonight's episode, Body for Ransom. How that
Ransom for a Dead Man.
I'm sorry, Ransom for a Dead Man. Can you edit that?
Take
please?
A shot. Okay, sure.
Edit that out. It's like Ransom for a Dead Man is so different compared to the later stuff. And I really like the earlier stuff because it just seems more natural, while the later stuff seems more of a caricature of Columbo.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
But for Prescription Murder, I didn't know that, and it's really interesting because in this one, in Ransom, you are starting to see the nuances or the idiosyncrasies of Columbo. Yeah. His personality traits, like with Chili. The Beanery makes apparently the first appearance in this. So stuff like that, it's fascinating because we're seeing it. I mean, this is the first time it was introduced for the character, but it carries over. But it's so normalized to me, as opposed to silliness that comes towards the end of the series.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And there's stuff that you can see maybe they're trying for the first time. You know what I read today? This is really interesting. I was doing research for this, and the whole one more thing, one more thing, sir, ma'am, whatever. The reason that he says that is because when they were writing their first script, Prescription Murder, they found out that they forgot to add something into the conversation that was occurring between Columbo and the murderer. So instead of just retyping everything, they just had the character come back into the room and say, "Oh, one more thing."
That's funny.
And then that just sort of caught on. So.
Oh no, it's a key element for that character. I mean, it's as just like the car, the dog, Chili,
the wife.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he mentions that he has a wife in the first one. I think he does.
Oh, and Prescription?
Yeah, because I think he says if I came home to my wife and I didn't call out her name, she'd be really upset at me or something like that.
Yeah.
I know he mentions it here.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for it because it was such an early episode. I wanted my ammunition for my argument against you in regards to the wife. So I thought, if he doesn't bring it up now, that'll be a tick in my box. But actually, he does at the very end. He does mention her.
He does in the beginning too.
He does? Oh,
yeah,
I didn't catch it at the beginning.
During the phone conversation the fake phone conversation that she has.
Oh, okay. So let's just talk about this. So Leslie Williams, she is the wife of a very prominent lawyer. Is he on the Senate or what is he has some kind of...
He was on the it's really funny. I think they say California Supreme Court.
Oh, the Supreme Court. Okay.
I don't know if it's called that anymore now. I think it's called the California Superior Court. But it's the same thing as the state Supreme Court. But he was on the Supreme Court, and then he quit his judgeship to practice law with her.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's a very prominent he's very prominent in his field. Would he still be called a lawyer?
Yeah, he would definitely be called a lawyer.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Sean is a practicing lawyer. So there's going to be some questions I'm going to direct at him later. Some interrogation.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so Leslie is the wife, second wife. She's a beautiful redhead played by Lee Grant.
Now, this is really sexist when men do this, but do you want to guess how old she was in this?
God, she couldn't be. She must have been in her 30s, maybe 25 to 30.
She was 46.
What?
Yes, I looked at. I did the math. 46 years old.
And when was this made?
It was in 1971.
She's still alive?
I mean, maybe she's 40. Maybe she was 45. But anyway, she was 46 in 1971. She is still alive. She is 92 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, she looks fantastic. Leslie Williams, she is sitting at home. She's planning the murder. She's doing something with tape reel, and I guess she's building or creating a ransom note to mail to herself. So what she does, I guess she's supposed to be somewhere because she's waiting for her husband in their home in the living room, which, by the way, I recognize that interior. I've seen this house in Columbo before, somewhere.
Yes.
I just
it
can't
has
place
been.
it. Okay.
I know it was in an episode called Lady in Waiting, which is actually a few episodes after this.
Oh, well, I hadn't seen that one, so it must be reused quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So she's waiting for her husband, all in black, I guess because she's going to do some bad things. And husband comes in, he's surprised to see her. She shoots him in the chest and then wraps him in paper. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really get much to do for a Columbo victim. Yeah, I think probably a minute into it he dies, which is not a record, actually. There's another guy that dies about 10 seconds into it in another episode. So, and it's important that she's sitting down and he's standing up. That comes in later on.
Yes. So the angle of the shot. So one of the things that I found right away different than most Columbos was the I don't know, it's the shooting style. No pun intended there. But during the scene where she shoots her husband, there's like quick cuts, camera going in and out, freeze frame. There's a high pitched beeping sound. It was very uncomfortable to watch.
It was very like 70s. Look what we're doing. We're doing groovy directing for television. Mm-hmm. Did you like that?
No, not at all. No, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I found it very distracting. And then after she throws his body off a cliff, there's a close-up of her face, and then
it's her headlights.
Yeah,
now, that was a cool cut. I'm like, oh my god, she's flipping possessed. That's what's going on.
I did not like that. I thought that was silly. And there's this
No, I didn't mind that so much. It was a little odd. It didn't seem something like you'd see in Columbo, but
They do something very similar to it in a couple episodes away from this. Actually, it's Robert Culp's first episode. And when we do that one, I can't wait for you to see it because everybody loves...
Which one's he in this first?
It's Death Lends a Hand. I think it's like the second or third episode of the first season.
Okay.
And they do something similar, and everybody... It's this long effect that they use, and everybody loves it, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy. But maybe we should save that conversation for when we talk about Let Death Lends a Hand.
So, yeah. I do want to say Billy Goldenberg, who is the composer for this episode. Give him a thumbs down on this so far. This is not good. Poor Billy.
It may have been good in 1971. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Wasn't around.
So... we find out in the next scene after... I liked how when she got rid of the body, she threw it into the ocean. How she just kind of put her high-heeled foot on him and just kind of gently pushed him over the cliff.
Yep.
I don't know why that turned me on, but it did.
So she... Oh, man. How do we explain this? Because she's got this magic machine in her office, which...
Yes. Is there such a thing?
I don't know.
I mean, back in the 70s, was there really something like that? I would love if somebody could email us and let me know if that was legitimately a thing you could get in the 70s.
It must be. I mean, they wouldn't just make it up for this.
You can do anything with computers now these days. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, but it's just that, you know, like when computers first came out in movies, they could do fucking everything. Like, you know, hack into the Pentagon system in war games and all that. I think they were just... I don't know what they were thinking. But
what was the episode where Columbo meets the robot from Lost in Space?
Oh, my
come on.
God. Don't even with that. Oh, when we do that one? Oh, God.
We haven't done that one? I know, I've seen it.
We haven't done that one. No. Oh,
that one was awkward. I felt like I was watching Battlestar Galactica meets Columbo.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We're talking more about other episodes than this one. But, yeah, I really want to know if that magic phone machine actually... And she says she uses it to call clients. Okay? Let me tell you something about clients.
Okay.
Clients don't like calling their lawyer and getting a voicemail. They're going to probably hate it even more if they get voicemail calls from their lawyer. Be in court at 2:30. That's not... You don't do that. Yeah. You know, you've got to, like, prep your... You know, it's just... That's a horrible device.
Well, she's apparently a really good lawyer. Well... I liked the scene where we found out her... what's it called when you have an assistant... a
paralegal?
Paralegal. Her paralegal comes into court while they're doing a case. Some poor bastard fell off some stairs.
Oh, God,
hurt his back.
yeah.
And so she's listening to him, listening to the guy on the stand, defending himself, and her paralegal comes in, Michael, and she's having this conversation about her husband, like, oh, have you called the hospital?
Yeah.
But she's able to, like, multitask. I'm not even listening to what's going on in court, but she's able to, she's very conniving.
That is very bad. Okay, so can I start with the courtroom scene?
Yeah.
Okay,
please.
first of all, let's take the racist. Let's point out the racist element. That you've got this gentleman on the
There's
stand.
some sexism in this too, by the way. But go on.
Oh yeah. We've got this gentleman on the stand. He's black. He's the plaintiff in the case because he fell down some stairs, and she brings up the fact that he's on welfare, which is so objectionable. Okay. And I think
I didn't catch that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think at some point the fact that the apartment complex has insurance is brought up. If the things that she said in that courtroom occurred at least here in Texas, there would be a mistrial. You cannot bring up the fact that a party has insurance in a jury trial.
I thought it was interesting too. The defendant's lawyer said something like, "You hurt your back?" "Yes, I hurt my back." And she goes, "Objection. You can't say if you've hurt yourself."
You can. That's what... she objected because he's not a medical expert.
But he's just saying, "I hurt my back."
Yeah, exactly.
It's
There's nothing...
It's not like I slipped a disc in the 13th vertebrae. I mean, he's actually saying, "I hurt myself."
Then he says, "These medical records, which I will submit as Exhibit 1, the judge did not admit them into evidence. The judge did not ask the other side, do you object?
That poor bastard, he's not getting a penny.
Yeah, usually the medical records aren't just one exhibit. It's usually like many exhibits. There's all kinds of medical records and stuff.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, my other theory about Columbo is these people who get caught that Columbo catches, they never serve time.
I don't. Well,
with the court system in California as it is in these episodes, they're not serving time. I mean, it's a joke.
And there's another issue too, is that she's made out to be this really tough, high-priced lawyer, and one thing that I did not learn until recently is that attorneys who work for insurance companies, in personal injury cases like this, they do not work or make the same amount of money that she appeared to be making. That being said, I think the law firm and the house were all from her husband's money.
The law firm was from him, if I remember correctly.
Because
can I ask you something personal?
What's that?
Is your office like hers?
No, it is absolutely not like hers. I've never had an office like that. I don't even think my boss's office is like that. It's nothing like that. No, actually, no. I remembered. I do have one of those magic telephone machines with the punch cards, though.
Do you know? That's
yeah. In fact, you're talking to one right now.
I couldn't tell. It's amazing what you can do with computers today.
Yeah.
So she. Sorry. So they settle. There's going to be a settlement in court. I forgot why they settled. I forgot the reason, but so he's only going to get pennies on the dollar at this point.
And that's another thing that drove me crazy. She's like, "No, we're not going to settle." She doesn't have any settlement authority from her client. Maybe she does, and that was off. Anyway, okay.
Well, so apparently they're grateful because they keep having these accident cases because she even said you need to this is you owe me one basically for getting you off.
You need to put up solid stairs and better lighting in that staircase before someone falls and kills themselves.
Which proves that they were at fault. I mean,
yeah. And she says this in the courtroom out loud, not during court, but anybody could have heard her. Anyway, it's okay. It's more legally accurate than How to Get Away with Murder. That show.
So we forgot to bring up before the court scene, right after she kills her husband, pushes him into the ocean. She comes back home, have a little glass of sherry, I'm assuming, and she calls her friend to tell her to call her at 10 o'clock?
Yeah,
and
it's 12 o'clock on the dot.
And just say tennis to remind me so I can put it in my business calendar. And of course, I didn't realize it at the time, but that's going to be a major plot to how she kind of sets up the whole kidnapping and ransom story. So so during the scene, she's gotten back into her beautiful office, half the size of my house. Walls are covered in wood paneling. It's beautiful. Full liquor bar. Wow, I would love to have an office like that.
Yeah, really.
But anyway, so she's talking. She's got an audience now. She's got her paralegal, or her associate. I'm sorry, and some, I guess, I don't know, the secretary. I'm not real sure. And so her friend calls, and she uses that excuse to say, "Who is this?" She does the whole faking the scene, which you find out later. She's a great actress, by the way.
We cut to her friend lounging about in her 1971 boudoir saying, "Leslie, one word, tennis!" And then she hangs up her princess. She doesn't even say goodbye.
I know. You ever notice phone conversations on Columbo do not start or end any way like they do in real life, ever?
Yeah. I mean, if someone asks you to do that, Steve, just call me and just say...
I would try to talk to you. So how was your day?
Yeah, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. You know what? That's the thing, though. That's why I love email, because I'm texting. So we don't, hey, how are you? Good to talk to you. How's you? Okay, all right, okay. Meet me at 6. Okay, great. That's yeah. But yeah, so this is supposed to be the kidnappers calling. So they have a powwow at her house. Right, so later on that evening.
FBI, it's the FBI, isn't it, that comes to her house?
Guy, I can't remember the guy's name, the head of the investigation, but he bears a striking resemblance.
Agent Carlson.
Agent Carlson. He has a striking resemblance to the dad from Family Ties, Stephen Gross.
Really?
His name is.
No,
yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
see.
he reminded me of.
Oh.
And then we meet Columbo.
Right, and so Columbo is the what's his function there? He's just kind of a
He's the local liaison for the FBI.
That's right.
Which doesn't make any sense because if he's in a homicide, why is he working a kidnapping case? But the thing is, they knew him. They knew who he was. So we didn't get a lot of this disrespectful attitude towards Columbo.
No, but it was getting there, though. I mean, with Agent Carlson, I think towards the end he was getting really tired of Columbo with his silly, disheveled look and his the way he just kind of handles himself.
Yeah,
and that's what he was doing.
yeah.
So in this scene, they're talking about they've got aerial shots and they're setting up the phone, and these agents are doing all these things, and he's just kind of like butting in. Mm-hmm. He kind of butts into conversation. And but anyways, everybody's real friendly, and for some reason, he and Leslie get separated into a study.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no! You know what?
it
He's snooping around. That's what it is. That's right.
And he asks her where the bathroom is, and she says, "Oh, it's the go down the hallway, first door on the right."
Yeah.
Those are confusing directions to him, I guess, because he looks a little. But there is something that that is said in this scene, and we're. So I was doing some reading, and remember the episode that we watched called "Make Me a Perfect Murder."
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some reading, and they said that Columbo's attitude towards the murderer, in this case a female murderer, was a bit misogynist. I think his attitude towards Leslie Williams is a little bit misogynist at first, because when it's revealed that she's going to drop off the ransom money from her plane, he goes to her, "You fly a plane?" "I do." "All by yourself?" "I do." "No kidding." "No kidding."
Yeah.
Yeah, she flies a plane all by herself.
Well, and there's another comment.
By herself.
Another comment later that kind of implies something a little worse. But so the scene with he goes to the bathroom, he comes back down, and he's confused, or not confused, but he doesn't know what to do with the soap in the shape of lemons.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite.
I didn't know
Columbo.
where he was going with that. Was that a plot? Was he trying to establish something? Like she was home alone? Was that it? What was he
No,
trying to do?
I think he was just. It was just for fun. I think it was just, and I thought it was hilarious because I've been to somebody's house that had that, and it's the same. I've had the same problem.
Did you have the same conversation with him just so you could recreate the Columbo scene?
But I like her reaction to it. Instead of like just explaining it, she's just like, "It's a problem. Like, could we now deal with my husband's kidnapping?"
Mm-hmm.
You oaf.
Oh, and what was the thing with the pen?
Oh, he lost his pen.
Yeah. Okay. We spent like 3 minutes on that.
Well,
Why?
they didn't. Okay, so you have to remember that this is actually sort of his big entrance. Okay, and this is a detective show where it's not. And I read this. The way that Peter Falk described it is his entrance in this is not as if Sherlock Holmes is strolling into a crime scene and everybody in the room looks up to him because they know that he's there and he's going to solve the crime. Mm-hmm. No, in this it's really awkward. He dropped his pen outside and he's just walking around on the stoop looking for it. And there's actually this whole conversation about his lost pen. She comes out and she's like, "Oh, is it there?" And then the other guy comes out, "Do you want me to get a flashlight?" No, it's just really awkward, his entrance. And I think
is that it over there? And he goes over, picks it up. No, it's a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's the introduction to Columbo. Interesting.
And yeah, I mean, think about it. That's the first time in 3 years this actual first introduction in Prescription Murder. He walks into the room alone with the murderer in there, and the music goes dun-dun-dun, almost like there's a superhero entering. They didn't want that anymore. They wanted his entrance to be really just, "Oh, I dropped my pen." Oh,
Well, he's playing the whole. In Prescription Murder, I can't think of the character names, but the doctor at the end tells Columbo, you let people think you're stupid, but you're really not. You're really smart. I kind of that was kind of a rethread because I knew this was kind of another pilot episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if they were going to try to introduce that idea that Columbo, kind of clumsily goes around clues and talks to people, tries to confuse them, make them think he's really not that smart. I was wondering if they were going to try to push that theme,
and they do. I think they do better in the previous episode.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they do it in spades a little bit later when they start the actual series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yes. So the supposed kidnappers want, I guess, $300,000, which by today's standards, not that much. I'm thinking, wow, that's not too bad. But anyways, which is interesting because it almost breaks her, right? Financially bankrupts
Oh yeah,
her.
yeah.
And they live in that kind of house. Nice. I mean, when you have executives today making $120,000-$200,000 a year, I mean that would be nothing by today's standards.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes,
Yeah.
They have a location where they want to plant or where they want the money dropped from an airplane, which I found really unusual. I don't know if they just wanted to have airplanes and helicopters in this episode. Maybe it was they had a big budget for it. But yeah, so Leslie gets in her plane. She's going to be followed by the FBI in a helicopter 2 miles back. And she uses her own bag to throw the money at the specific location.
Oh, and we're treated to a nice montage of her behind the wheel, and they intercut it with like street scenes, like more over directing, I think. But
I got a very big DB Cooper feel here. I don't know why. I know it was a different scenario, but just planes and money and heists and whatever.
So for those kids out there who don't know who DB Cooper is, look it up on the internet.
I got a question for you. So
I don't think they ever caught him, did they? No, they didn't. Okay, sorry.
No, I think they have a good idea, but he's probably dead now. Anyways, so she had 2 bags. She supplied the bag where the money was going to be put in. So she had 2 identical bags. One she hid away in her locker, and the other one is the one she took on her plane. Now she was on her plane alone. Why? There was no way for the kidnappers to know if she was going to be alone in that plane or not. Why wasn't there somebody in that plane with her?
That's a good question.
At first, when they were talking, I didn't pick up that they were going to do it via plane. Yes, she flew, but I didn't think that was a big thing. I thought she was going to be in a car. Now, if she was in a car, yes, I could see kidnappers want you to be alone. But there's no way. Someone could have been sitting in the back, and they would not be able to tell she had a passenger.
That's absolutely true.
But,
well, maybe she was alone because none of the police felt that she was in danger because she was in a plane. So there was no need to go with her.
If I was Agent Carlson, I would have insisted that either I join you or one of our agents join you.
Yeah, that is a little, And also, they bring a bag to put the money in.
And she insists to use
she
her own.
insists on using her bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she actually leaves a lot to chance here. And she also drops out of the window a flashy box. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, some kind of locating beacon thing.
Yeah, a beacon. That's a good. Yeah.
And yeah, even if a helicopter was 2 miles away in the sky, that's not very far. They would have seen that dropped.
That's what I was thinking.
On a clear night, they would have seen that.
Now I hate this. This is a piece of shit. This.
Okay. Well, here. No, my initial reason for bringing this up was not that. My problem with this scene, now that we've talked about it, it's ruined it even more. Is that she threw an empty bag out, right? Well, she said she was at 1,000 feet. You throw a empty bag, that thing's going to go flying for miles behind you. It's not going to drop straight down, which is what she wants because she's over the location. She has to drop it. It has to go down. Let's say it's off by 20 feet or whatever. That's fine. But that thing is going to go in San Francisco at that point. I mean, it's just out in the ocean. Right. It doesn't because it's empty. There's no weight to it.
Yeah, you don't have to be a windologist to figure that out. You're absolutely right.
A windologist made that.
Could I just say also that she has a huge bottle of perfume in her locker.
Was that perfume or booze? I wasn't real sure.
I don't know. And it looked a little phallic as well. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I assume it was perfume, but you're right, it could have been booze. But I'm sure she wasn't allowed.
Knowing her and how much she drinks, I think it was booze, but whatever. Because I would
sharing.
think if you're flying, you would probably want a little something.
Yeah.
To calm your nerves.
Well, I would. I have to have a little something every time I fly. And it's interesting to note in this scene that Columbo does not like being in the helicopter, and he's barely containing himself.
Right.
He's trying to be professional. Peter Falk does a great job at that.
No, he's very good. Yeah.
So she returns home.
Yeah. So Leslie returns home, and she puts. Oh, what a beautiful closet, by the way. Her closet's the size of my master bedroom. I mean, it's just cedar walls. Well, it's just secret compartments. What a great... you could live in that closet, Sean. You could rent that out to a small Asian family. Oh, that's racist.
It's okay. So then she leaves the closet, and we're treated to our first jump scare of the episode.
I loved it.
In which we meet my favorite character, Margaret.
I love Margaret.
So there's this guy,
the moody teenager. Yes.
So there's this guy that Columbo File is his moniker. He's got a really nice blog, and around Valentine's Day he posted a link for an article that he wrote on his blog called the Top 10 Hottest Ladies of Columbo or something like that. And he also did a top 10 studs of Columbo as well.
Oh God!
Number 1, by the way, was
Robert
Falk.
Culp.
Anyway,
Robert
Culp was on the list, but anyway, Lee Grant did make the list. But in the runners-up category, he brings up Margaret, and I can't remember the name of the actress, who was unfortunately dead now.
What?
She died. Yeah, she died at the young age of 52.
Wow.
Apparently, if you Google the actress's name, there is a following for her. That she was apparently quite a hot ticket in some viewers' eyes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
You know?
Patricia Maddock.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think she's been in anything else that I've ever heard of.
I'm going to IMDb right now.
Nothing rang a bell.
I am pulling her up now. So she was in... Yeah, she died in 2003. That's sad. So the last thing she was in was a short film called The Walter Ego. Sorry. Ego Mego. Oh, she was in Lou Grant.
Okay.
Cannon? Was that a murder mystery show?
Yeah, that was a detective show of some kind. But I was getting this very Jan Brady thing about her. Like,
yes, I agree. That's so funny. I too thought at first it was the same actress until it got a little more scene with her. So
in fact, she's not so much Jane Brady from the show, but
was she
Jane Brady from the Brady movie? What?
Was she the one that was in the Brady Bunch Variety Hour? Because she got replaced.
She got replaced because she wouldn't have anything to do with it, I think. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. But she has these expressions like, "Oh my God, oh Marcia." There's one that
it's
is
it's the glasses and the straight long hair is what throws you.
But there's one scene a little bit later on where she sees Leslie like lounging about the sitting room, and Margaret walks in the background, and just her jaw just sort of drops, and she's like, "Oh my God, she's dancing and my father's been killed."
Mm-hmm.
So,
because Margaret surprisingly shows up, and her and her stepmother do not get along. They do not like one another.
It's hilarious.
And I think Margaret automatically thinks there's something suspicious about her father's death, and suspects her mother Leslie right off the bat. And there's a scene where she even talks shitty to her, Margaret to Leslie. There's a scene where I don't even know if I can pull off the tone, but she says like, "Oh, the lady lawyer," kind
Oh
of.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
See,
I wrote it down. I wrote it down because Leslie's going to work and she says, I mean, actually, I said she's my favorite character. She's actually my least favorite character. I actually couldn't stand her.
Margaret?
I mean, she did a good job, but no, she was completely annoying. I mean, if I was Leslie, I probably would have killed her along with her father. I think that I probably would have.
That's what I was waiting for her to like come up with a new idea to
God.
I killed your father. I'm going to kill you too. Kind of.
I mean, when I can empathize with the murderer because this girl is annoying her so much. I was on Leslie's side the whole time.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, Leslie's getting ready to go to work while Margaret's sitting at home eating breakfast and watching Double Indemnity. And Margaret
really? Is that
says,
what she was watching?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Although she said she was waiting for the news, although she would have had to wait another hour because that was the beginning of the movie. But she says, "Seems like a strange time to be playing lady lawyer."
Yeah.
That's a really rude and sexist thing to say, lady lawyer.
Yeah.
Whatever. Get a life, Margaret. Go back to Zurich.
Damn, I liked her. So we're back in court now. It's another case. Leslie tells this old lady, which I found really interesting. She tells her client, "What I want you to do is I want you to cry and what'd she say? I want you to lie and cry or something like that. I want you to lie about it and I want you to cry." And the woman's like, "I'm not sad." She goes, "But you have to cry." Like coaching her how to sell it, right? And that
coaching her in front of everybody else in the courtroom, by the way.
And
else,
right after that, the FBI agent Carlson walks up to her to tell her the bad news. Or no, he says, "Can we speak alone?" And she insists, "No, tell me now." Of course, she knows because
she knows it. Yeah.
So he tells her the bad news that your husband's body's been found, and of course, she does the exact thing that she just prompted that old lady to do.
Yes.
She cries.
Yes.
Or she doesn't cry, but she has an outburst. And
yes.
Yeah. And Columbo picks up the first thing he asks. What does he say? He picks up right away that she didn't ask the right thing. Like, what was it?
She didn't ask where he was found or how he was killed.
Right.
Which,
She
by
didn't
the
ask for
way,
the details. Yeah.
I don't think that. I mean, it was only less than a minute. I don't think that that's incriminating. I mean, the fact that he's dead. I think it's more incriminating because he points out earlier on when she's supposed to be talking to him on the phone, she doesn't ask, "How are you? Are you okay?" He does find that suspicious. That, I agree, is suspicious. But the fact that she didn't ask how he was killed or where he was found, I mean, that's like secondary information.
Well, one of my favorite scenes in this episode is right here. It's when they take her away to kind of get her situated, and so Columbo's bringing those points up to Agent Carlson, and Carlson starts to suspect, "Are you thinking that she's the murderer?" And he goes, "Oh no, it's just odd that she acted this way." And Carlson says something like, "Well, this is the FBI's case," and he goes, "Not anymore. There's been a murder, and now it's my case." And I love that scene. I love that scene. He's basically saying, "It's mine now, and now I'm taking over." Loved it. I thought that was great.
And that's it. You're absolutely right. It's like he takes charge, and he's like, "You're gonna, yeah." And so the doctor. Oh, I love this. Oh, not love it, but they take her to the doctor supposedly because she goes home. They leave her alone, and she takes the sedatives, the pills that the doctor gave her, and she throws them in the fireplace. And I'm like, "No, don't throw those in the fireplace.
That's good stuff.
That's good shit."
Oh,
you don't know when you're gonna need that.
That was the scene where she started dancing because she thought the doctor. Oh no, the doctor said he gave Margaret not a sedative, but a shot that would make her drowsy. So I guess the shot didn't kick in just yet. From all that college partying she does, it probably would take a while to kind of get through. But we forgot to mention that Margaret has been away. She's been out of the country. She has been in Switzerland in Zurich, right? Mm-hmm. And so she came back immediately once she got the wire that her father had gone missing. So that's why she's there. So she's normally not there. So Leslie was hoping to have the house to herself. So at this point, she throws the pills the good stuff in the fireplace, and she starts to do her little dance. Well, that's when Margaret steps down the staircase and sees her mother.
And she's like, and you just get this, oh my God, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh!
Marsha.
She doesn't say anything. She just has that look on her face. And then, on to the funeral. Oh, yeah. The look on her face.
I love so. Okay. Can we discuss the odd thing about Columbo where he seems attracted to brainy young women?
Yes, this is the...
just like in the Mile High Sky, whatever the name of that episode is.
Etude in Black, the little girl next door, and now this girl, yeah.
I mean, there's something called personal space. It's usually like a 2 to 3 foot buffer. They call it a bubble. Columbo totally violates that bubble with her in almost every scene.
Yeah,
he definitely has a certain type he likes.
He creeps on her at her father's funeral after he sees her smack her stepmother. He's very, yeah. Not quite as creepy as that scene in Identity Crisis where he tells the little girl she's pretty, though.
Yeah. Well, I think the intent, obviously different. That's the 70s. We're in the, it's 2018. We think of that now as being overly creepy. Back then, that must have been maybe like a father figure, or just someone who was, wanting to provide a shoulder to cry on. I think that was the intent. But when you look at it with today's eyes, with, after dealing with Catholic priests sleeping around, scout leaders sleeping around, coaches from school team taking videos of their athletes in the shower. I mean, it's just, now we look at it with an adult man around a young girl. It's just, we all kind of have that we have that background now. Right? Yeah,
I know that vibe, that kind of, that presumption that if somebody's talking,
we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned with all that stuff now, so we look at it very suspiciously.
I even use that when I'm in public. I try not to look if somebody's got a cute little kid. I try not to stare at the kid too much, or because I don't want to look like I'm a
right
fucking
pedo.
Yeah, exactly. I used to go to a lot of movies alone, but I would never ever go to a Disney movie alone because that's just
was just creepy. Yeah. As a grown man, you cannot go to those. Now, maybe some guys do, but if you are one of those guys, email us at columbocobfab@gmail.com. Let us know what makes you get over that awkwardness, or how do you get over that? But
you need to know, don't you?
And
you want to go see Coco next week, and you want to know,
No, I want to go see Incredibles 2. So how am I going to see that? But yeah, so we're at the funeral, and I want to say I've buried 2 parents at this point in my life. The way they had it situated at this gravesite, the chairs were on the gravestones. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
On the markers.
Yes, I did.
That really bugged me.
It did.
Because if I saw somebody do that to my family's resting site, I'd be really pissed.
I agree. I mean, you're basically walking on dead people every time you go into a cemetery. There's no avoiding.
Well, I can
but
see
actually touching the gravestone is a little bit.
Well, no, having the foot of a chair on.
Yeah.
I just, that bothered me. I don't know why. I was curious. You did. I wouldn't think you would have caught that, but it
I did. I did notice it. My parents used to tell me when I was a kid, and we would go to a cemetery, not to touch the gravestones because the people would come back and haunt me.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
You're kidding? Your parents said that to you?
My mom said it. Yeah.
That is creepy. Your mom was messing you up, Sean.
I mean, I thought. Well, I was.
They're like, that nice young boy. Let me just cuddle up with him tonight.
Well, she didn't mean to scare me. She just said, "Don't get." It wasn't like
they're going to haunt you. Is your mom superstitious, by the way? I'm just curious.
Not really. No.
Huh.
But she's psychic, or she used to be psychic. That's a whole other topic for.
We're having this discussion later.
Yeah. But she wasn't she didn't say it in a mean way. What scared me more was when my grandfather told me that I had to wash out my ears, or the farmer would come and cut off my head to grow potatoes out of my ears.
What?
Yes,
Holy
that
crap.
scared me. That scared me. You do not tell, because now I have a picture in my head growing up in the last 35 years of like a scarecrow type farmer with a machete or something walking towards the house. Give me your child.
This explains so much about you. Oh my god.
That scared me.
Okay.
Farmer's gonna come and cut off your head for growing potatoes.
Some good potato making ears right there. Okay.
All right.
So
wait, I did actually, I wanted to mention something. This has nothing to do with the episode, but it has to do with Lee Grant. I wrote down a couple fun facts about Lee Grant.
okay.
But they weren't until farther down in my notes, so that's why I didn't come to them until now.
Okay.
So, you're aware of the House of Un-American Activities back in the 50s and all these actors and filmmakers and actresses who were blacklisted, right?
Oh, for the being communists. Yeah.
Yeah, for allegedly being communists, or I think probably nowadays they'd probably blacklist me for being a communist, the way that I think. But she was one of those actresses, and
Wow.
she did not work for many years due to that. She was married twice. Once she said she was married to a Marxist, and again she was married to a fascist.
Okay.
I don't know if she was being literal or funny, but perhaps even more interesting is that after this Columbo, in the 80s, she turned down the role of Dorothy on The Golden Girls. So there you go.
Wow.
I can't see her doing that.
Why did she turn the role down? That would have made her even more... Well, she's
God.
really not that famous. She's a beautiful woman. I was actually quite surprised after looking at her IMDb. I was really surprised that she hadn't been in a lot more.
Yeah.
So I guess I would explain it. But why did she turn down the role as Dorothy?
I don't know. If you listen to the Gilbert Godfrey podcast from a few months back, don't ask me what episode, she explains why. And I don't remember why. But the fact that she was on a podcast talking about this, and she was great on that podcast. I mean, for being 91 or 92 years old, she's in great shape. She does not look it if you Google her. She actually looks like she may be in her 80s. Oh, there's people that are in their 70s that look like I mean, I'm not saying that she can run around the block, but anyway, I'm babbling. But yeah, so...
That's interesting. So let's go back to the funeral scene, because there's a couple of other things that I found interesting besides the chair location. So the priest, after he does the sermon, he goes up to Leslie, the wife, and says, "My condolences." Now, Margaret is sitting right next to Leslie on her right. You would think the priest would say, "I'm sorry about your loss of your father," because that's a young girl. That she's going to be more probably bothered or messed up from the death of a parent than a woman on probably not even her first husband, I bet you. So I was surprised the priest kind of passed her up. That bothered me. I don't know why. That really disturbed me.
Did it bother you that for a guy that was on the California Supreme Court and this very successful lawyer, that there weren't that many people at the funeral?
Very interesting. I didn't think of that. No.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, because Columbo even, I think, asks Leslie, does he have a lot of enemies or something like that? She goes, no, he's well-liked by everybody. Everybody liked him. But that's always the first thing, right? In every murder case, you go to the funeral to see who shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the best scene, one of the best scenes, there's a lot of good scenes here, but a really, really good scene is Margaret calls Leslie out and calls her the murderer of her father and slaps her stepmother.
Is this what you wanted or something like that?
Yeah. That was great. And so that's when Columbo takes a cue that he needs to hone in on Margaret and see what she's thinking or what's going on.
I got to hook up with her.
Right.
She knows what's going on.
Right. Hopefully
She's
not
like
the kind of
Jesse's
hookup that... Yeah. So after viewing her mother dancing literally over her father's death, that would bother me too.
Yeah.
I don't know why you don't sympathize with Margaret. Anyway, whatever.
Because I just found her so despicable and annoying. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to be upset at your father's death, but I thought that it was her, just a snot-nosed attitude that I could not stand.
Well, that's what teenagers are. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And then, of course, we find out Leslie and Margaret have a little powwow. How you're never going to do that again, or I'm kicking you out of this house speech. Yeah. And she says, "Oh, by the way, about finances, your trust fund is empty. It's gone. I had to drain it for the ransom."
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I don't. You're going to be lucky if you get to live this lifestyle ever again. Kind of talk.
Mm-hmm.
That would have pissed me off. That was like Gary Coleman's parents spending the money. And poor Gary Coleman has to work as a security guard for an IT center to make a living. I mean, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. There's no way Gary Coleman should have ever had to work again for the rest of his life.
I did not know that. Actually, I knew that, but it was in the back of, in drawer 1017 in my mind, and you just opened it up.
Gary Coleman died a poor man. That's just...
And he was on MTV's The Surreal Life.
Was he?
Remember that?
No.
Yeah. With Ice-T and Ron Jeremy and Tammy Faye Baker.
Oh my God!
I don't know if they were all they were all on that show, but I don't know. I know that he was on it with Ice-T, but I don't remember if Ron Jeremy was there. But those people have been on that show. You know the show I'm talking about, don't you?
What's it called?
It was called The Surreal Life because they had the real life.
Sounds familiar, but I stopped watching it. When MTV stopped playing music videos is when I stopped watching it.
Oh, so. You old funny.
That's right. In my day, when they had MTV, we actually had music.
They had a season. They had a season with Ron Jeremy and Tammy Faye Baker were on. And to see Ron Jeremy and Tammy Faye Baker interact, you have not lived until you have seen that. Because it turns out that they got along just smashingly. And then that Vern Troyer was on it one season, and he got really...
Okay, I do remember that. Okay, I do remember the show now.
Really drunk.
I remember him, and he would just...
Get drunk.
And he was the horniest little thing I've ever seen in my life.
He got drunk, and he's like peeing in the corner, and everybody's like, "Oh, Vern, are you okay? What's going on?" And there was this one lady, I don't remember who she was, a pop singer of some kind. She's just in the background cracking up, which is exactly what I would be doing. Vern Troyer drunk in a corner. I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with Lee Grant or Ransom for a Dead Man.
Or
Columbo. But I'm told by email that people enjoy these little one-offs, these little aside conversations.
Okay.
So there's a.
I know. I can circle this back. So Vern starred in the Austin Power movies. That's what made him famous.
Excellent.
What was that guy that was in Heart to Heart? The guy who killed Natalie Wood. We all know
Wagner.
Yeah.
Robert Wagner. Robert
Wagner. Surely Robert Wagner was in a Columbo somehow.
No.
What?
He would have made a good murderer, but no, never in a Columbo.
Well, he killed Natalie Wood, so.
Okay. Okay, no, I got it. So Vern Troyer was in Austin Powers, where he played alongside Michael Myers, who played a parody of Blofeld from Live and Let Die. No, You Only Live Twice, who was played by Donald Pleasance, who was in Columbo. Okay, so we're back to Columbo. Everybody.
Yes, finally. So Columbo has set up a meeting now with Leslie.
Okay, this huge meeting. This is probably the longest scene in the whole thing.
So we found out Columbo likes to show up 30 minutes early to a meeting, so he has plenty of time to prep. Which is funny enough. That's what I do. I like to show up early so I can be prepared. I don't like to be the guy who shows up late. So I give a thumbs up to Frank here, Frank Columbo.
I think it might be Philip, but okay.
It might be Philip. But Michael, the assistant, is there. And this is where the sexist comment comes in. The one I picked up on, at least. So he says to Michael, "I don't know how you do it." And of course, Michael thinks, he's talking about how I came in late or what? Like what is he insulting me about? He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, how do you work for a woman?
Yeah, that's really sexist. Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. Oh, that was out of left field. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, that was... Whew. Whoa. Fun fact, though, my mom was a legal secretary by profession until she retired, and she despised working for women lawyers.
Really?
She said that women lawyers were far worse than male lawyers.
Well, we have proof.
Because,
they're murderers, apparently.
Yeah. You know what? By the way, in the Columbo canon, the lawyer is actually the most prolific murderer. That came out wrong. That's the most popular occupation of a murderer, because rarely do they skip or do they repeat professions. I mean, we've had 2 mystery writers. There are a total of, I believe there's 3 lawyers in all of Columbo. There's her, and then Patrick McGowan and Dabney Coleman. Have all played lawyer murderers. I don't think there's another murderer in the old series, but
interesting.
No, I don't think there is. But anyway, I'm sorry.
So yes, during this meeting, Leslie comes in. We see this beautiful office again with, like, literally 10-foot tall bookshelves. Beautiful view, and Columbo notices this.
Wait! I'm going to say something about the view. By the way, the view coincidentally was the same view, I think, from Dr. Ray Fleming's apartment in Prescription Murder.
Was it?
I may be wrong, but I think I recognize those buildings. So.
Wait. So his view from his office,
from his home, from his apartment. Yeah.
Huh.
Remember, because he strangles his wife and breaks the. I think they used the same backdrop for both episodes, even though it was 3 years old by the time I made this.
That's possible.
So, yeah, there's this. Yeah, he has this very long scene with her in her office, which I'm just going to call the clue dump. And it's interesting because this is a lot of times in these episodes, Columbo spends, he'll have 4 or 5 meetings with the murderer. This is the only time that he spends with her one-on-one, is in her office, and then subsequently in an airplane. So I found that very interesting, and that's not normal. I mean, like, when I say
he usually comes,
but it's not typical.
He usually keeps coming back and forth and annoys them with his continual sudden appearances and one more thing question, and it just until they break. Basically, they release subconsciously release a clue, because they get so annoyed with them at that point.
Yeah, and that does not happen here. She takes him out in her plane.
Before we get to that, I want to.
Okay.
So he concentrates on the phone, and he asks about this phone machine that she has, because what ends up happening is he's going to have, I guess, somebody at the LAPD buy him one, which there's no way the hell that's going to happen. But but
it does. He does get one. How somehow?
He does. Yeah. So, but you start to see he's piecing things together. And then he brings up his cousin Ralph, which I think is a key point here. Now, typically when he brings up his brother-in-law or, I don't know, his nephew, whatever. So he brings up cousin Ralph. I don't know if he brings up cousin Ralph in the future, but he says how cousin Ralph is that he has all these gadgets, he loves these gadgets, but the problem is with cousin Ralph is that he's such a bore. He's just a boring guy, and he just keeps talking. You just get bored.
Like her husband. Yeah.
Which you find out later, that's the reason that Leslie kills her husband, because he's a bore. Now, if he would have been more fun, if he would have been taking that Viagra, then things would have been a lot different. But, so I think Columbo has nailed why. I mean, I honestly, I'm not trying to push it here. I know it sounds like I am, but the thing with Columbo's family, I really don't think it's real. But I think he makes up these the cousins, the nephews, the brother-in-laws.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I agree with you there. I mean, I believe he's married, but he's got so many relatives that he just makes up shit about.
Yeah.
But
right. I think he's proving a point. Like, I know why you killed your husband, because he was a bore, and he's kind of throwing that at her to see how she reacts, I think. But yeah, I think that was a key point. Yeah, and then so she decides, let's continue this meeting I'm going to go flying to get my hours in. And of course, Columbo, that's not his element. I actually quite like the flying scene.
Yeah, it's really good. I knew about it going into this, and I thought for some reason that it was just like fluffer, or not fluffer. That's the wrong word. I thought it was puffing. A fluffer is something completely different. Puffing, to make the episode longer, but no, it works. And frankly, I wouldn't go up in that plane. I don't care if I've got the most qualified pilot flying. I can't. I would be just like him. I hate flying. I fucking hate it. I have to take a Xanax and drink 3 glasses of wine, and you would never get me into a little plane like that.
You're like Mr. T.
Mr. T? He's afraid of flying?
Well, in the A-Team, if they ever wanted to get B.A. Baracus, played by Mr. T, they had to drug him because he wouldn't go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was his character flaw, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we can cover that in the A-Team podcast.
Oh, God, no.
Which I get commercials for the A-Team, by the way, on some of these DVDs at the beginning.
So, yes. But, yeah, so Margaret takes him up in the air. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was really nice. Some nice flying scenes or
aerial shots?
Aerial location scenes. It was very different. It was refreshing. You don't see Columbo. You don't see those kind of shots typically. Yeah, they must have had a really nice budget for this one.
I think they did, yeah. Although his tie kept getting changed.
I did not notice that.
It kept going from being droopy down, where you could see this top button, to being, tucked all the way up. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but very clever of Leslie, though, because I think she knew Columbo was on to her, and I think that put her in control of the conversation by getting him in a plane.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then making him take over the helm, which freaked him out.
I'm surprised they didn't die.
Oh, he looked like he was going to crash it. I would have just...
Why was she aiming it at... I wonder if that was kind of a unintentional subplot where she was hoping he would crash the plane and she could be done with it. Because think about this. She was steering it towards some mountains, and she says, you need to pull up. Now, if he hadn't executed it correctly, they would have crashed into that mountain.
Yeah, you're right.
And it would have been his fault. But in a way, she controlled it, but it would have been his fault for the death.
I kind of have to apologize for something that I almost said but did not say. For those of you at home, I watched this while we're talking about it. And you mentioned Barney's Beanery. And I was going to say, that wasn't Barney's Beanery. No, it was.
It is Barney's Beanery.
I just read. Yes! Yes, it's the same place.
It's the very next thing in my notes, too.
And they have the same bartender or waiter or whatever you want to call him, cook, shorter to cook, that they had at Tony's Deli in Fade into Murder. It was the same actor. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm. No,
except in here, his name is Bert. In that one, his name is Tony. He comes up later. He's the first reincarnation of John Finnegan, who plays the guy at Barney's Beanery in the 90s. I don't know the actor's name, but you'll see him again in the first season. He's in at least one other episode. And although presumably it takes place in Barney's Beanery in the other episode, they don't have a location shoot like they do in this one. Which, by the way, I think that was the ugliest fucking restaurant I've ever seen.
Well, I don't know. I've also noticed that in this episode of Barney's Beanery, and the ones that I've seen to date, the interior is different.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're bigger. They're more fancy, I think.
They get bigger, yes.
Yeah.
And there's a pool table in this one.
Yeah, which it implies he's playing pool with these 2 or 3 other guys. He goes, I've got enough today, guys. I got too much on my mind. Which implies that he's in control of Columbo's might be a pool shark. But just not the last time we see him play pool.
No, I didn't get that at all, that he was a pool shark. I thought he was getting owned by these pool sharks.
Oh, no. I thought that he sinks several balls in a row, doesn't he?
He may have.
I don't know.
I didn't notice that, but...
Okay.
But anyways, okay, so he orders his chili, which at that time was not a Columbo thing. I love that.
Which we're going to serve at our Columbo convention.
Yes,
here in Texas.
We need to talk about it. Yes, so
yeah,
if we're going to do a Columbo podcast Columbo convention, we're going to have a chili cook-off.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll have it at a hotel
and a Basset Hound competition.
We'll have guests and panels. We'll invite all of the people
who do
are
we
still
have
alive.
Who would we have guests? No one would show up. It would be all fans.
We could have Lee Grant. We could have William Shatner. And,
right. Yeah, I can imagine William Shatner coming to something like that.
All he'd want to do is talk about his books. Anyway. Oh, isn't it sad to think that we've covered all of William Shatner's episodes now? Mm-hmm. We won't be seeing William Shatner again. At least not until we do our Star Trek podcast. Anyway.
No. So, yes, Margaret shows up at the beanery. And disheveled. She's looking for Columbo. And so she and her Columbo get a booth privately. Okay, so you're starting to think, okay, where's this going? But she expresses her concern why she thinks Leslie is the murderer. Of course, Columbo, it's interesting because at the funeral, he kind of says, if you know anything, if you need anybody, come talk to me. I'm here for you. But she is now going to him and saying, here's what I think happened. I think Leslie's the murderer. I think she killed my father. And Columbo basically shuts her down.
Yes, you're right. Well, okay. I think that he does not want her going off and playing Nancy Drew. I think that despite how he reacts, maybe he does not really appreciate her quote-unquote help. We find out at the end that he actually uses her to prove that Leslie's the killer. But it was very, very risky to use her in that way because for all he knew, Leslie could have killed Margaret.
Yeah. I'm surprised he left. If he truly suspected Leslie was the killer, he was leaving Margaret alone with Leslie. Yeah.
And I don't know if all of the shenanigans that Margaret does after this, like planting the false keys and all the other stuff, like where she puts the beacon in Leslie's room and all that. I don't know if Columbo was a part of that or not.
Yeah.
And
I in that scene. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like to think that he wasn't specific. He didn't tell her to do those specific things. But
I would like to think that was her idea. Like she volunteered to do that. But yeah. So Columbo comes to the door to talk to Leslie, and kind of calm Margaret down, I guess. And Columbo says something to Leslie. And I think he's definitely telling Leslie, I'm on to you at this point. He said, I forget what he says, but he says something to the effect that, Margaret suspects you.
She plants... okay, wait. So she plants keys in Leslie's room. It's her father's car keys, but they're not her father's car keys. They're duplicates.
Right.
And she gets so mad at Columbo.
That's right, because whoever has those keys is the murderer. Yeah.
Right. She tries to slap Columbo in the face, and then he grabs her and says, "Don't you ever try that again, young lady."
Yeah.
And she walks off in a huff, and he tells Leslie at that point, before he walks out the door, he says, "Well, we don't want you being convicted on the wrong evidence."
Right. I wrote that down exactly. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And her being a lawyer, she surely picked up on that. Mm-hmm. Basically saying, you're it. I'm just going to find the right evidence.
Yeah. And he does.
And so at this point, I think Leslie has, as we discussed at the beginning, has underestimated Columbo. We're talking about prescription murder.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, where the murderer thinks, Columbo's this bumbling police officer. He's disheveled. He's easily confused. That's what she thinks, and she even says, with all your homey stories and things like that, she underestimated Columbo, and now she knows Columbo's onto her, and I think he's going to figure it out. So that puts her in a situation where she's got to figure out how she's going to get Margaret out of here. She can't kill her now because it would be very obvious. And two, she's got to get Margaret out of the country. Mm-hmm. And if she can get Margaret out of the country, then she's clear. I think she's safe, or much more safe than she was before. Margaret is complicated things, so she's got to get her out of the country. So Margaret, presents her with a deal. You pay me $25,000. What was it? A year? Well, I don't remember.
Something like that. I can't. It was because she gets a bonus. She gets her trust fund plus a bonus. I don't know what the fuck she gets a bonus for. She's not working.
I love this family. I wish. God damn. I wish I had an allowance and a bonus. What do you if you get good grades bonus or you don't get pregnant this year bonus? I mean, what are we talking about?
I don't know. You know what? That sounds like a perfect reason to get. My parents used to bribe me to get good grades. Still didn't get them in grade school, but so she's got to get Margaret out. She's got to remove her from the scene, so Columbo can't get to her. So Leslie agrees to pay Margaret, escorts her to the airport, gives her the briefcase full of cash, sees Margaret off, and lo and behold, there's Columbo.
I love this scene. And he just happens to be there reading a paper.
Yeah. And she says something to him like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did your last suspect get away?
Yeah.
Was there a crime you couldn't solve?" And so they go and they sit in the cheapest airport restaurant.
Well, back in the 1970s, that was high class. Did you not see the view they had?
Yeah, no, I know. A root beer and a sherry were $1.50. Nowadays, it would be like $18.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah,
especially at an airport.
6 of that for the root beer. Yeah, and it's revealed that's when he gets her. It's because the money that she gave Margaret was the same money that
the ransom.
She's the same ransom money.
Got her fingerprints all over that.
And I actually think it's not just her fingerprints, but I mean money is numbered, and I think that. There's absolutely no way she's going to get out of that, even if she is a savvy lawyer. I think that's pretty damning evidence. That's gotcha evidence there. That's places her gives her knowledge and possession of an object that she wouldn't otherwise have had. So I think that I actually misremembered this. I actually thought that Columbo catches her because she just tries to pay Margaret off. And for that reason, he catches her. I was wrong. It was the actual bills themselves that implicate Leslie.
And
not like in Murder, Smoke, and Shadows, where there's a really ambiguous conversation that he has with his secretary, and that proves he was the murderer, which is bullshit. No, this is.
You think this is a tight case here? Okay, so another great scene, great ending scene, by the way. So. Columbo's got 25 grand, and he's counting the cash, which I wouldn't think you'd want to get his DNA or fingerprints all over. But he's going through the money. Now, Leslie said she would buy him a drink, but she's been taken away. So now Columbo has to pay for the root beer and sherry, which, what did you say, was $1, what, 20?
I think it was $1.50. Maybe it was $1.20.
So... The waitress says, whatever, that's $1.50. And Columbo goes through his pockets. He goes, oh, geez. Oh, well. And he's got $25,000.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what the poor waitress is thinking, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Can you just charge the police department? No, I thought that was funny. That cracked me up.
That was very. And then that was a very good way to end it.
Yeah. And then we had the long credit scene. I actually watched the credits all the way through because it wasn't a static credit scene. It was you could see the flights coming and going in the background of the restaurant. The view, and it was somebody with a camera just kept it going. And I kept waiting for Columbo to come back like he forgot his pen or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought
that music that they play over the credits is used again later on. Actually, it was used in an episode that I know that you've seen that we haven't talked about yet on this podcast. I can hear it in my head right now.
I did recognize some. I remember thinking I recognize it, but not enough to write it in my notes. But okay.
All right, let's
review it.
Let's rate it. Yeah. I don't remember who went last because I was pretty toasted the last time we did this podcast.
Okay, I think you went first last time.
Okay, so you go first this time.
So I'm going to pull a random number from this episode.
Okay.
That number is 300,000, which was the ransom.
Okay. All right.
So I would like to rate this episode 1 out of 300,000. I'm going to give this one a solid 298,000. I really like this one. I'd probably just give it a solid 300, but I really like this one. It felt, even though it was an earlier episode, it felt fresh and new. Mm-hmm. I like the idea, because when I watch these old episodes, I try to be in the mindset of what it was like to watch back in that time period. So I find watching these older shows more enjoyable, like Twilight Zone, Doctor Who. I like watching the older stuff in the mindset of that time frame. And so to me, it was very nice. It was really refreshing. I like the idea that we get some early insights to Columbo, like with the chili, the beanery, the mention of the family, which I find fascinating that you think is not real. I liked Margaret. I thought she was a great character. I love the toxic relationship between her and her mother, or her stepmother. I thought those scenes were all great. Every time those two were together, you didn't know what was going to happen next. I mean, as a matter of fact, one of the final scenes we kind of brushed over real quickly was the fact that Margaret pulled a gun on Leslie. The same gun that killed her father.
Yes, that's right.
But it was filled with blanks, and there was a chase through this house before Columbo showed up. What else did I like? Again, I like that with this earlier stuff, just in general, Columbo is not a caricature like we discussed in the later stuff. I think Peter Falk really did well. I didn't feel like he dialed it in. It felt new and great. It was definitely a better pilot than A Prescription Murder.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, that was a good one. But you're not really watching Columbo there. You're watching Peter Falk. But here, I felt we were watching a character, character Frank Columbo.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess I go then. I pretty much agree with 100% of what you said. I would give this a 299,000. No, let's. I'm going to try to be fair with the. I'm going to give it 297,541. It was pretty damn perfect. I think this might. It was not before, but I think now it might be my top 10, if not my top 5.
Wow.
This was pretty much perfect, Columbo. It was, and it's great that it really sets the template for what we're going to see later on. And it's interesting that the choices that they made after Prescription Murder to add these little details, like I don't even think the chili thing was planned. I mean, did they?
That's what I was wondering. So did the studio say, "Well, look, we need more character. We need something that kind of hang our hat on about this character." And then they're like, "Okay, chili, Barney's Beanery." I don't know. Did we even see Columbo's car in this? I don't think we did.
His car does not show up until later. Neither does the dog. The first episode with the dog is Etude in Black.
Right.
But no, we do not see his car in this. Don't ask me which episode has the car for the first time, but it's not this. It might be the next one after this, Murder by the Book. But, you're right. I think fresh and new is a really good way to describe it. This story is really timeless, with the possible exception of the magic telephone machine. I'm shaving points off.
Wait, the magic telephone. In the plot. Okay, I was like, is that an episode? I'm watching that next.
Actually, it's with kids in it. Yeah, I'm shaving points off for some of the direction that goes a little bit overboard. It's a little bit too snazzy.
Yeah, the beginning.
That is not
the beginning.
That is. Yeah. And there's some slow motion shots that seem a little gratuitous. That was not timeless. That was very 1971. And also, I think, although I liked the ending, I think that she was smart enough to know that she shouldn't be giving that money to Margaret. I don't know what she planned to do with that money, but I suppose that, you know what, maybe not, because giving it to Margaret would be a good way of just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Because Margaret would take it to Switzerland, and exchange it, and then it would be gone, basically.
Well, she pretty much at that point, and which really bothered me. I even wrote my notes, crazy redheads, because I actually thought at that point Margaret is like, okay, I know you killed my dad. Why don't you give me my money? I get a percentage of that. And I wrote my notes, crazy redheads. So
I don't know what Leslie plans to do with the remaining 300 or 220 or 75,000 or whatever is left over, which
maybe she could go.
That she has no other money.
She could always fly, like Switzerland, whatever. But I think her firm and her prestige, I think, would carry her.
I agree. And she could probably also sell that big house and all the ugly furnishings and.
God, that was a big house, but with all the statues and busts.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Yeah. And fake candelabras on the wall. Anyway. So this is pretty much a damn fine episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it a lot, and I know you went on. I didn't like Margaret, but I enjoyed not liking her, and Leslie got everything that's coming to her. I mean, this was pretty good. This was excellent. This was solid. This was really solid, and I look forward to exploring more of these with you, Steve.
Oh yeah,
because according to the if we're going to be doing a 90s one next, chances are the next one will not be this good. So
no.
Oh, although we've had a fine run so far. We've had a Bird in the Hand before this, and then before that was Dagger of the Mind. So yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, just a quick update from Bird in the Hand, by the way. So again on YouTube, I was watching kind of a making of with I guess they had interviewed old actors that had played on Columbo.
Really?
I don't know what it's from. It looked like it was from a DVD, but it was with Tyne Daly. And it was just the video on YouTube was just on her. I could tell it was more of an ensemble thing, but this one channel just had her interview, and they discussed the kiss. And it was
really,
yeah. So
why don't they put that on the DVDs? Why didn't?
What did she say? Not? Oh, I figured it was on. Oh, so just on YouTube.
No.
On YouTube, type in Columbo Tyne Daly, and there's something that comes up about the kiss.
In Undercover. Okay, not Bird in the Hand.
In Undercover. Yeah, okay, I'm just because Tyne Daly. But yeah, so it was fun.
Well, wait, was it improv or?
No, and it was so fun because in Bird in the Hand and Undercover, she has this country southern, y'all, kind of drunken southern accent. But to hear her with her normal voice, it's so funny because she sounds so normal, and she, and she's just wonderful woman. I was not a fan of hers until Columbo. I'm just,
really.
I love her now. Yeah,
I actually agree. Yeah, I loved her in Columbo, and it almost makes me want to watch Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah,
I say almost. Yeah, I'm never going to have the time or be able
after
to
this. We'll do the Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah, the Cagney and Lacey, because I know the other lady that was on Cagney and Lacey. She went to play in Queer as Folk. She was like a proud mom of a gay son. She played Hal Sparks' mom on that show, and then I don't know what the hell happened to her afterwards. But
all right, so
okay?
We got feedback.
Okay, so we're gonna read one quick thing. I want to spend a special shout out to Vu Dugan, who left us a nice review on iTunes or on the podcast app for Apple. He says, only 13 reviews? We can't have that. Love Columbo and these guys. This podcast is a nice mix of banter and discussion of everyone's favorite sloppy detective. We've gotten some really nice people who have posted some really nice things.
That's nice. Well, I'm glad they liked our random banter, by the way, because this episode will be full of it.
Oh, God, yes. This is longer than what we usually do, this one. In fact, this is practically a commentary. I think we were talking about
this
it.
Episode
literally.
This podcast is longer than the episode.
Yeah. I'm watching it right now. It's at the concluding scene. So I guess that means we have to spin the Wigan wheel of the 90s, Steve. And let's find out what we are reviewing next. And I frankly cannot wait. It's 1 out of 13 episodes. So give that fucker a spin.
Let's do it.
It is going to be so excited about this. You know what? I'm really excited, Steve. You know why?
Because it's gonna be a horrible one. You know I'm gonna hate it.
It's gonna be No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say who's in it. I'm just gonna let you see, and we'll talk about it.
Why are you laughing?
We'll see. So No Time to Die. Write that down so you don't have to text me about it later on. What are we reviewing? I think that this will also. I think that this episode is going to be a point in my hand for the argument that Mrs. Columbo exists. By the way.
Oh, is this the one
serves.
that you keep dangling over
this is
like
not
a carrot
the
to a horse? Is this
well?
the one?
There are two.
And this is one of them.
This is one of them.
Because I want to face this head on. I want to see what your point is.
But this is not the big Mrs. Columbo one. This is not. But this is one of the ones that I was like, just wait till we do this. And
I thought the other one was where they were on a cruise ship. So no.
No, it's not necessarily. Although I did not realize until later on that somebody pointed out that is one of the. Yeah, you'll see. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, there's so much bad '90s stuff.
Okay.
Well, looking at the list.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That Steve's had enough. All right, everybody. Good night, everybody.
I'm out of here.
Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @columboconfab and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes. I love clues. Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes and we'll send you free cookies. Some restrictions apply.